cranking away at how to buy a water-fed pole from a designer's perspective. Okay, so now we have extendability, yeah? Now, there's no way anybody can consider all of this when they're buying a water-fed pole, but you can be aware of it when you buy your second one, right? So the extendability says, I have a master pole that, let's say, because we looked at the 80-20 rule earlier, so let's say we have a master pole that goes to 3 stories, and so the question is now, if I want to go to 4 stories, do I have to buy a 4-story pole, a 5-story pole, and a 6-story pole? Or can I get my 3-story pole to go to 4, 5, and 6, right? Or let's say 4 and 5 anyway. So, and the answer is yes. So with reach it, you know, just for the sake of the drawing, we're just going to say, well, there goes your tactical, and you go plus A. Yep, and if you're going to the 5-story, there goes your, no, it doesn't actually fit together like this, but for the logic, right, you have tactical, and then tactical plus A, and then tactical. We would call this tactical plus AB. Now these AB extensions you can buy at any time, you know, from as far as our range. Now there's another way, you know, that I call it archaic now because it's really, you know, we came up with it in 2012, is to add the extensions to the base of the pole and then keep pushing the telescopic pole up. But these are super heavy, right? A plus A, which goes up, you know, right at the top of the pole, is half the weight of a plus C or an XT. So this is really, you know, there's a level of convenience about it for the auto operator, which we recognize, but outside of that, it doesn't make any sense because basically you're adding all this weight, and then when you add the weight to the bottom of the pole, you make it want to flex, right? All the weight is pushing down, gravity's pulling here, and then the top of the pole's skinny, and so it wants to flex. So, you know, when you're looking at the 80-20 rule, you're looking at the extendability of the pole, and then can I buy those extensions later? And then, okay, what's my master pole to cover 80% of the glass that I'm going to clean or more? And that's that logic of extendability. So the alternative to this is fixed length poles, which means you have to buy one for each story, or, you know, when you're budgeting, you might buy one for 6, one for 4, one for 2, and some ground poles or something, you know, but you have to buy a whole lot more poles than you do, whereas comparing to buying a pole system. Yeah. Hey Dante, I am just rambling away because I am looking at what, you know, like 1 or 2 minute videos, you know, how to buy a water-fed pole, and or 10-minute videos with guys that really haven't got a lot of experience about what is a water-fed pole and actually what's going on. So the other one is gooseneck angle. It's like when you buy a water-fed pole, you got to say, well, what you want to do is clean any window, anywhere, anytime. So here's an example, like when we talk about goosenecks, like in the Elite pack from us, we have 5 different goosenecks. We have 4 in the HDG pack and 1 in the Max Reach. And so the logic of the HDG pack is included in this is like, you get a window here that you want to clean in a residential house. This is 2-story. This is a little laneway. I'm not very good at perspective drawing, but let's say it's a little laneway. And basically across here is like 3 feet, you know, 1 meter. So you've got no room to move. You're up here. The window is recessed with a sill, so you can't get straight line access, right, to the window. So, you know, you're down here, you know, I better use a finer pen. You're down here, and you've got to clean this window up here. So in this case, you need to telescope your pole up, put a gooseneck in there, and then have your brush here so that you can work the brush up and down and be on the inside of the sill. If you could get to the other side of the fence, you could do it without that, right? You could just do it with side to side because you could get a straight line access to the bottom of the window. But the closer you're forced to be to the glass, then this would be, you know, a 95-degree angle that we would set, and then you'd just push the brush against the glass. You can't get a lot of leverage there. You have to use a lot of your own force to get the brush to compress. There. The other alternative, and this drawing does not work at all, but if this is a swimming pool, right, you can imagine some sort of landscape or something like that, you know, there, and the window is here, then the guy wants to put the brush on the glass here, but the operator is, so he's here, yeah, and the operator is over here. He has to stand on the other side of the swimming pool or some landscape or whatever. So then you need the pole to be like this, and this could be 140 degrees to make that work, right? So instead of just selling you a pole and a brush, and we get people saying, can't I just get a pole and a brush? And I said, well, dude, if you want to be a professional, you want to earn $150 an hour, and you never want to be stopped, and you never want to have to think twice about whether you can clean a piece of glass or not, then spend the extra $500 and get a pack that is any window, anywhere, anytime, right? So in this pack here, you get it like 95, 110, 125, and 140 degree goosenecks, so that you can, doesn't matter what happens, how you have to set it, whether there's a structure here instead of a swimming pool or whatever, wherever you need to be, if you actually need to set that as an angle, as fixed, and you need to go up and down, you know, that way, to clean that window, you have that in your kit. You don't want to have to go, oh, I can't reach this window, I need to go and buy something later and then pay full dollar for it. Like, we basically throw these things in. Okay, so then the other type of window that you've got, which you can't get to easily, is basically recessed windows. So we have, you know, in the HDG pack, you know, you can get, I don't know what it is, maybe less than 18 inches, yeah? I can't remember. It's less than 18 inches. But then when we go to APAC, Max Reach. Right, Max Reach is amazing. So the standard for Max Reach is, this is really HDG, right? Is just, you have a window and you have a sill there. So again, the side to side, in order for a side to side work, like if this is the brush and those are the bristles, then the closer the pivot is, the closer the pivot point is to the glass, the more effective the swivel is, right? So there's a, you know, there's a weakness in using swivels if there are sills and you have the pole, you know, this angle, you can't do it. So you need to put a gooseneck on to put the brush on the glass. That's why you need goosenecks. So HDG is also a horizontal displacement. It's not just the angle, but it's a horizontal displacement tool, yeah? So you can get, you know, it's 12 to 14 inches, let's say. Now, on the other side, you've got these all sorts of situations where there are outcrops, right? And you need to get to a window. In this case, let's say you've got a commercial building, it's got a door, and it's got an entranceway cover, and then they always put a piece of glass behind the entranceway cover, right? So guys have to climb up on a ladder onto that in order to clean that piece of glass, even if they're doing the rest of the building with water fed. So that's not the case with you know, with the way I look at it, you know, how you buy a water-fed pole, right? This guy should be able to put a pole up here and have a gooseneck here that's strong enough to handle, let's say 6 feet horizontally. Now, Peter Thomas, I know he was watching earlier. Peter Thomas, he had a little scenario like this. He had a restaurant, right? 2-story restaurant. Glass view looking out over the ocean, yeah, so it's there. Then for the people eating downstairs, they had the cover like this, then that was the ground, so people eat at tables here, and then it had a drop away, a walkway with a fence to the ocean, right? So Pete has to stand here, right? Is that you, Pete? Is that what you look like? There you are, like that. And he had to put his pole, there's a video on it, right? He sent me a video and we've edited it. It's on our YouTube channel, Future of Cleaning, youtube.com, Future of Cleaning. So he had to put his pole here, then he had to put his gooseneck here, and he had mini or tactical. So he had, in here, he had, back then it was called Mini Plus A, which is Tactical Plus A now. And then he had the number 1 section of the Mini, right? Which is now, it's even more possible with the Tactical, because this is even more rigid. So in total, he had a 12-foot displacement horizontally, and he was able to clean those windows. And there's several jobs that Peter's done like that, which he sent videos in, right? Yes, I am going to Korea today, but I want to get this out of the way. It's only 8:30 here, so it's all good. Thanks, Dante. Okay, so you know, how to buy a water-fed pole? Well, you know, maybe you've got to think about the glass you want to clean, and you're looking at the hourly rate of this guy, and you're saying, well, if I can get him to clean anywhere, any window, anywhere, any time, he's going to get his hourly rate like crazy high, right? He doesn't have to climb ladders, doesn't have to do this, doesn't have to do that, right? So what else do you want to know? Oh, well, I have this one here, safety. This is also really, really important, okay? Because this guy is your gold, right? He's your money. Don't worry about how much a water-fed pole costs. It's how much this dude costs, right? So our job is to make him faster, better, safer, yeah? If I can make him faster, better, safer, you're going to make more money. If it's you, then you're going to make more money and you're going to have a better quality of life. So there are some flash points that I just want to point out, right? We have flash points in the human body using water-fed poles. This one, I have a neck injury from using water-fed poles, right? The trapezius, or trapezoid muscle in the top of the back has to pull the head back to look up. So he's looking up here, yeah? While he's looking up here, these muscles, in order for that to happen, to pull the skull back, you know, on the spine, these muscles have got to compress here, right? Or contract, right? So then you end up with a short blood supply. Guys who get tension headaches, right? Angry in there, right? That's that one, right? Then there's the shoulder. So this is neck, yeah? That's a problem area. This is really rotator cuffs, right? We use the rotator cuffs to do weird things with water-fed, especially if it's a floppy pole, because you're working, really working the pole hard with the control muscles in the shoulders. So rotator cuffs are a potential injury. This is tennis elbow, right? A tennis elbow is caused by this action there, not that, right? And that muscle comes up here and then it swells in here. So that's a tennis elbow. Then we have this one, is the wrist, yeah. The bottom wrist is this action here, yeah. This action here, not that one there. This action there, not that one there. That's these muscles pulling tight. So that is carpal tunnel. Oh, no, Decker veins. This. If that blows up, it's called Decker veins, right? That's the guy who named it. This one here is the top one where you're pushing down, right? And also we're twisting the pole. So it's this action here, pulling these muscles in through the carpal tunnel and then pulling it in like this. So when we're twisting the pole, you know, we turn it like this. This one is also the shoulder. And anyway, so on both wrists, there's a risk. Both wrists experience the risk of carpal tunnel. And you know, whilst water-fed poles are safer than ladders in the sense that you can't fall off a water-fed pole, so they have a lower rate of catastrophic injury, I believe that they are as injurious as a ladder for the potential, you know, the 5-year sort of guy, you know, life of a guy, you know, using water-fed, or 10 years using water-fed, same as a guy using 10 years climbing ladders. The ladder dude's going to have his knees go, right, because he's climbing with the knees not square, and the body's meant to have the joint square. So his knees will go. If he falls off and just breaks something or sprains something, right, he's got an injury and he's off work for a period of time. But you know this, if a guy has a rotator cuff injury, it's massive pain. That can take you off the tools, right? And maybe you've got to go through surgery and maybe you can get it repaired. But, you know, I have a rotator cuff injury and it never went away. Carpal tunnel is incredible pain. You can get steroid injections to reduce it, and then you can get an operation if you want to. But as a rule, this will take you off the tools, right? So from your career perspective and your quality of life perspective, neck, tension, headaches, like obviously what we do is we include, we'll go through what we do in order to address these things, right? So in all reach at poles, we address these issues, and this is, you know, I'm really conscientious of it. Oh, not to mention electrocution, yeah? So we'll just think about that as well with respect to that one. So he's got all these, you know, injury points for a guy who's just using water-fed, and we did a survey a few years ago, which is like crazy long survey about all the injury points, and all these people wrote in, you know, and the older they are, the more injured they are. By the way, if you can have pain from water fed, that could be triggering a sports injury or an accident, or you fell out of a tree as a kid. If you experience pain, that shows you what you're doing is injurious, and then you'll go to avoid the pain, and you'll find a more ergonomic way to do that job. The problem with those of us who don't experience pain is that we don't usually revert to the ergonomic way. We just do it the way that we think we should do it without really thinking. So we get those issues. So what do you want if you're choosing a water-fed pole? Well, you want a water-fed pole that has some sort of focus on safety, you know. And I always look at these other companies been around for 50 years, and they never focused on safety once. And I was like 3 years in, and I was like, you know, going around America teaching everybody, you know, about water-fed pole safety, because I just completely, you know, understand that they're potentially injurious, and from my own experience, and then I want to be responsible as a manufacturer to solve them. So if you've got electricity, then you need something like shock stop. Ionic also have a product called Protector, right? But you need there's this fiberglass, ours is Kevlar. But it's important that you have something that'll insulate you. In the old days, we had pole skin, but if somebody's selling you an aluminum handle on a carbon fiber pole, that is, you know, increases your risk of death, basically. If somebody sells you a carbon fiber pole without any protection, without any sleeve, that is increase your risk of death. If somebody tells you that that there's a pole that's Kevlar and it'll stop your shock, but these are carbon and these are Kevlar, and the electricity will come this way, then that's just misleading. Okay, so you want to make sure that you've got some sort of protection in your system to avoid the risk of electrocution, because we do work around power, right? All of us. For the neck, we have these funny little glasses, right? So they're basically this shape here, like a prism, and we call them prisms. And you look this way and you see this way. So instead of his nose being up there, this dude, his nose will be here, and he'll be looking this way. And this neck, all these neck muscles here are completely relaxed, right? So he looks this way, sees that way. You get a sense of inertia when you first start. Just work your way through it. It's like 2 or 3 hours, not all at once, but you just get used to it. And then all of a sudden your body gets used to the information, coming in differently, or your brain does, and then you're completely sweet and you'll never take them off. You'll always use them. You don't need them for 2 stories. I think like 3 stories and up is about it, you know, or 4 stories and up. But what happens, just as a little side, right, is that the guys that don't wear them, you know, if you're cleaning 5 stories, then he should be, let's say, ideally, he's going to be at this angle here, right? He's down here, yep. And he should be at this angle here. But if he's at this angle here, he's cranking his head up and he's trying to look at that angle. He doesn't want to look at that angle, so he goes, oh, if I extend the pole out and I could stand here, right, then I only have to look at that angle, yeah? Now that angle and that angle are different, yeah? So he's going to relieve his neck. But by relieving his neck, he makes the pole longer. When he makes the pole longer, gravity has more impact on the pole. So, and then once it has some flex in it, then it becomes, you know, somewhat less efficient. So ideally you want the pole as straight as possible. So then he has more work to do. So he does more work because he's trying to save his neck. It's much better if he just wears prisms, right? For his this area here, the rotator cuff, we have the control handle, and we're just redesigning that now. So we're actually in back order, but there's new design coming. We've re-looked at that. And at the bottom here, while he's working his elbow and his wrist, right, if he could extend his arm like this, like basically like this, and we give him, you know, what's basically power handle, then he can run his action with a straight arm and not have to use his arm and his wrist. Well, that's a commercial power and controller for big commercial glass. So, you know, if you're doing this kind of building here and it was all this size glass and none of these, once you get to these, power and control doesn't really work. But on these ones, you know, big panes or solid glass buildings, it's just magic. You just rock up and down, and you're so efficient, so fast, and so much less repetitive motion, so you're reducing the risk of injury. Alrighty, let's have a look at the list. From here, number of brushes, we've covered that. Return on investment is who's the most expensive part of the system is the worker, right? So if we can increase the worker's rate rather than worry about how much the system costs, that's really cool. Length versus reach we covered. Actual length is there. Price versus cost versus value. Haven't done that one. All right, so the price and the cost and the value. Yep. So price is what you pay on the day. Yeah. Cost is what you pay. It's the total sum of all of what it costs you to operate it, right? So let's say over 5 years, right, is the absolute minimum life a pole should have. It should be 10 years, I think. And ours are getting, like, we can't say 10 years yet because we're still not a 10-year-old company, but we're certainly at 8 years, and we know that there's very little breakdown of our poles over that period of time. So the cost is the total sum of all of the costs of the thing. So you think, you know, if you can buy a pole cheap, and then it lasts for 2 years, and then you buy another cheap pole, and then this is the UK principle of, you know, the cheaper version, their cheap range, right? There's this logic is that every 2 years you've got to buy a new pole, right? So something fails over that 2 year period, and then you have to buy it again. So this if you add those together, you know, then that, even just that without anything else, you add those together, and this becomes the cost here compared to this, which was the price. So if you make a price decision, usually you're buying into, if it's purely a price decision, you're buying into consumerism, right? Where you get a replaceable, failable product with a built-in obsolescence. Whereas, you know, the more valuable products, like you look at Unger products, you know, some of their products have problems, but not their, you know, high modulus carbon fiber poles, or they're ultra high modulus. I mean, beautiful products built to last. Like you buy one of those or you buy a Reach It, you know, we feel that we're in the same category as that. But they also sell hybrid fiberglass and aluminum, which we don't. We refuse to. I think it should be banned because they're potentially injurious. They're cheap and industrial tools shouldn't go together. So then there's value, which says, okay, so, you know, this is what I'm spending, but I'm getting all this added as well, right? Added value, yeah. So basically, I don't have to, these dollars I don't have to spend, yeah. So if you can get something which has a low cost, right, a manageable price, and it has value added, then you've got yourself a really, really good deal. And that's that's the logic of, you know, just from because this is all from a designer's point of view, right? So I've always got to make sure that when you look at the elite packs, we don't think the elite packs are in a price war, they're in a value war, right? That these are designed to be the most incredible value you can possibly have, right? So if we can increase that value, then you can afford the cost. And the beauty is that we know that is a cost, that these poles do last a whole lot of time, and that the only replaceable part, you know, is basically the clamps, which are you know, every 2 years you've got a $99 replace the clamps. Some guys, that's the guys who use them a lot, right? Maybe be $99 every 2 years, and that would be your little, you know, spend on this pole, and it should last for 10 years. But we've got guys who have had the same clamps on for 8 years as well. So it's not that that's a given, but that's the logic of designing that the sacrificial part is cheap, and the expensive part is not going to be worn down or broken. Okay, accessories. Yeah, you want as much value in there. Accessories, brushes. I don't even know what I meant by visibility. Layers of carbon we've covered. Lightweight we've covered. Extendability, pull apart, 80-20 rule. Floppy versus rigid, and poles do not clean glass. So it's not your water-fed pole that's going to give you your clean glass. It's the brushes. They're the tool on the glass. I wanted to cover all of that. So there you have it, I think. I think that may be it. So that was a whole lot of stuff, right? How do you compress that into 10 minutes and say, well, how to buy a water-fed pole? So I'm going to put this up on YouTube. I'll join. I know it broke down. The broadcast broke down right there in the 80-20 rule. So we'll load that up, save these 2 videos, join them together, and throw it up into YouTube. If you like it, share it. It may help some people. I'm sure it'll help you. And then this is basically one of those draft videos where I'm using paper to give these videos to my team to be able to work out, what videos we want to make professionally. And transfer some of these knowledge to people in modules rather than, long raves and stuff like what I've just done. But anyway, it's all good. So if you're interested in Reach It, right? You want to clean windows faster, better, safer. You want to clean any window, anywhere, anytime. Call 562-684-4928 in America, and go to the website store.futureofcleaning.com or www.futureofcleaning.com, and you'll find the phone numbers for the other places in the world. We like talking with people who are investing and evaluating and considering water-fed. And we've got some other videos on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/futureofcleaning, all one word. And you can have a look in there, things about reverse osmosis, DI, fluid dynamics. I'm basically running a whole series of videos like this, making sure that you've all got access to the data right now as we work our way through all this knowledge and turn it into, professional SOP, training modules that are sort of in bite-sized chunks. Okay, hope you enjoyed it.